Hello guys and welcome. So this is my What is Final Fantasy XIV. This video is aimed at people who have never played the game before but maybe want to know, what is Final Fantasy XIV? Why have I heard so much about it? How does it compare to World of Warcraft? Questions like that. So I want this video to be the answer to these questions. So Final Fantasy XIV is a MMORPG, which means massively multiplayer online role-playing game, which means there's lots of other players running around in the game with you. It has all the typical elements of a role-playing game in them, such as gearing up, leveling up, having many classes and interesting characters, and a story-driven narrative. Now, 14 itself has had a rocky history. So for those who don't know, basically this game actually launched originally back in 2010. The era is what has been known now as the 1.0 era, and that game, the 1.0 14, flopped. It flopped big time. It lost Square Enix $100 million. Like, it really hurt both the Square Enix and the Final Fantasy reputation. So what they actually did was they said, okay, look, we've announced a failure, we're going to do something about it. And then they worked on the game, and now we have A Realm Reborn. Fast forward 6 years after A Realm Reborn came out, we've had 3 expansions. So we've had Heavensward was the first expansion, then we had Stormblood, and then recently, earlier this year, we had Shadowbringers. And there's more on the way. Simple as that. There's going to be more and more. So what you can find in this game is a big world. So right now we're in one of the main cities called Gridania. So and you also have this Aetheryte system in the game. So the way the Aetherytes work, you can just teleport place to place. So unlike World of Warcraft, you can, once you unlock the Aetheryte in different places or different cities or different outposts or whatever, you can just teleport straight to them. It costs you money to do it, but you will make money, like the gil in the game is a money. You'll make that just naturally more than the cost of the teleports. So you don't need to worry about that. So let me just teleport around. Now, the good thing about this game is that because it's Final Fantasy, they brought in a lot of other Final Fantasy elements to it. So when they do seasonal events, they can have crossovers. There's been a Final Fantasy XV crossover. There's been gear from Final Fantasy VII. There's been outfits from Final Fantasy X. There has been an entire events from Final Fantasy XIII. And we had different characters come into the game from other Final Fantasy games. Like we've had Lightning come along, we've had Noctis from Final Fantasy XV, and so on. And also as well, they are adding always different elements from other Final Fantasy games. So this is like a homage to the Final Fantasy franchise, which has been going for a very long time. But this video specifically is about 14. It's not about, like, for example, what is Final Fantasy. Now, as we say in this game, there's a lot of areas. There's also mounts, as you can see. I've got my mount system. In the original zones, the Realm Reborn zones, the 2.0 zones as we call them, you can't fly. But you can fly in Heavensward onwards. So if we go to, for example, let's go to one of the zones from there. So let's go to this zone, because I know that this is from Heavensward, for example. You have the ability to unlock flying in that zone, but you're not given flying immediately. It's something that you have to unlock by finding Aetherytes, by doing certain of the story quests, and then you can fly in the zone. And I do have Aether Current guides for this game. Now, what's really good about this game is that there is a story, and the story-driven narrative of this game is very much, especially in the cutscenes, there's a lot of voice acting. Over time, especially for us who've been playing the game for years, you grow a very, let's say, close relationship with the different in-game characters. So, and it's always nice to see what the story is. So, for example, in the top left, you can see I've got here, next main scenario quest. These are the quests for 5.1 patch. I haven't done them yet, but I will get around to them soon. Now, on my channel, my YouTube channel, you can find that I've actually recorded the entire storyline from 2.0 all the way to the end of 5.0. So I recorded them just because, one, they're special, and two, because 10 years from now, 20 years from now, maybe I'll look back and maybe I'll just rewatch it and try and relive the glory days of Final Fantasy XIV. Now, this game does get a lot of inspiration from World of Warcraft. That's why there's flying mounts, there's PvP, there's a lot of typical MMORPG elements which World of Warcraft set as a standard. But the way that this game is different is, for example, you can be any and every single class on one character. You don't have to make a separate character for each of the classes. So as you can see, I've got a whole plethora of different classes, and it's split, it's clearly defined. So there's tanks, there's melee DPS, there's physical range, like archers, or in this game they're called bards. There's magical range like black mage and summon and red mage. There's the healing classes, and then you also have the crafting and gathering classes. Now, crafting is different in this game compared to other MMOs. It's not just a case of gather the materials and hit create all, like in World of Warcraft, for example. You actually have to use a combination of skills in order to craft something. So if I switch to one of my crafters now, you can see I've got an entire hotbar of different abilities. Now, as of patch 5.1, it was recently nerfed. So what you see on the screen right now, that's as complicated as it gets. So you don't have to worry about, like, oh my god, crafting, I'm going to ignore it because it's too complicated. No, it's very, very simple. And I do have a lot of guides to help you get into it as well. The advantage of crafting, you will be able to make any item in the game that you might need. You don't have to be at the mercy of other players. Also, as well, you can repair your own gear. So the bonus for crafters in this game is that you can repair your own gear beyond the repair level. So what that means, for example, if you look closely at this description, if you look down, it says condition. So right now it says condition 194%. When you repair at vendor, the maximum it can get to is 100%. But when you repair gear yourself, then it can go all the way up to 199%. Regardless of what percentage it's at, it could be at 99% condition. When you repair yourself, it adds another 100% to the condition quality. So, and that's an advantage crafters have. And you can even repair in combat. So in the middle of combat, you can repair. And there's different reputations in the game. There's different beast tribes to engage with. There's lots of side quests and so on. Now, the good thing about this game is that by doing the main story of the game, you are able to accomplish most things for your first playthrough. So it will take you through all the zones, it will introduce you to all the characters, it will really set you up, and you will not have to do much side things your first character through, your first class through. The side things is more for when you're doing your second class, your third class, your 15th class, and so on. And there is a bonus system as well. So simply your progression on the first character, on the first class, will take the longest, sure, because you're getting introduced to the game, but then it will get quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. So do not be put off by the sheer number of classes. No one says you even have to level them all. Just like look at them, see which you decide. I personally, my favorite class is Paladin, which is a tank. I was a paladin in World of Warcraft, I'm a paladin in this game, I'll be a paladin in every MMO I play. It's just my preference to have the sword and shield. And what I'll say about the game as well is that because it's Final Fantasy, if you don't know, is renowned for amazing music, an amazing soundtrack. So, and it's no different in this game. They've really, really pushed it even in Shadowbringers. Even to Final Fantasy fans, the soundtrack in Shadowbringers was exceptional. So they really try their best. Like, in fact, Square Enix sometimes does concerts just of their in-game music, which is interesting to explain to people, because sometimes I would say to people, yeah, I like listening to Final Fantasy music. And they have almost an impression like I'm listening to like Mario sound effects, you know, like I'm just listening to like woohoo ha wee, and I was like, no, this is actual music, you know, it's not just something that I'm imagining or exaggerating or anything like that. Like, this Final Fantasy soundtrack is renowned for being some of the best music in any game. So the good thing about Final Fantasy XIV is that because there is an active development team behind it, they're always updating the game. They're always adding new content. Every 3-4 months we get a new patch. They do live letters, so the producers of the game and the directors and so on, especially the producer-director called Mr. Naoki Yoshida, he will explain everything that's coming up in the game, and they do take player feedback into account with their game. So there is a really strong community behind Final Fantasy XIV. I personally have uploaded more than 1,400 videos over the last 6 years about this game. Now, at the moment, I am taking mostly a bit of a break because, you know, doing anything too much is not healthy, but I still will always have a place in my heart for this game. I always will. My subscription will always stay active. I will always log in. I will always be around to help people who enjoy the game and so on. Now, the good thing is as well, for anyone watching, if you're still watching to this point, you can try the game for free. So I will put a link in the description. There's a free trial. You can play the game all the way up until, I think it's like level 30 now. And you can try it at your own leisure for, I think it's 2 weeks, but that 2-week limit might have been removed. But if you want to go beyond level 30, then you have to obviously subscribe. Now, I would say that the subscription is worth it, but I'll say a big but to that. MMOs are a big decision. They're huge. They're huge games. They're supposed to be played instead of other games. They're not supposed to be played alongside 20 other MMOs. If you do that, even at me doing this full time, there isn't enough hours in the day. Simply, the game is too big. And especially if you start Final Fantasy XIV, because 3 expansions have come out and there's a story-driven narrative, if you do genuinely do all of the story going back from 2.0 all the way to 5.0, you'll probably be busy doing the story for the next 2-3 months when you first start. But you will be on a crazy adventure. And for, like I said, for us long-time players of the game, I'm sure we wouldn't trade it for the world. Now, there is also PvP in the game, there's raiding, there's a lot of stuff to do endgame. So I personally, I am what I consider a casual player. So I'm more focused on leveling up, doing side quests, doing whatever, and I always have things to do. And the hardcore players, they will focus on endgame raiding and maybe PvP as well, but mostly the raiding. In fact, Square Enix have responded to the raiding, like, let's say, by releasing ultimate raids. You know, they're sort of extreme difficulty raids that only a few people have the skill or have the patience to actually clear. And it is very entertaining to watch when people are struggling their way through it. Like, some people might spend weeks, maybe even months, to get that content cleared. Now, as you can see, like I said, the last thing I want is to make you guys feel that to be overwhelmed, because obviously I'm an endgame player. That's why my hotbars look so full. That's why it looks like there's a lot in the game. But when you start off the game, it is very gentle, let's say. It holds your hand a lot and so on, and there's always people ready to help you out. So I'm just giving you an example of the different zones in the game. So we were in Gridania, we went to Corvus Western Highlands, so I could show you flying. We went to Ishgard, which was the main city in the Heavensward expansion. We're now in Kugane, which was the main city in the Stormblood expansion. So, and it's very, very interesting as well to have the different crossovers, the different inspirations of cultures, the different input from different Final Fantasy games in this game. And the reason, in case you're wondering why the server looks very quiet, is because I am visiting old zones, and also as well, I'm playing on a NA server, even though I'm in the EU. So, and the good thing is as well, you can go between NA, EU, Japanese servers all you like. There isn't any limit. If you have friends on a Japanese server, even though you live on, say, Australia or whatever, you can transfer there. There's different services to transfer to different servers. And let me just take you now to the main city of Shadowbringers. It's called the Crystarium. Now, what I'll say about this game is, if you're interested, if you've reached this part of the video, try the free trial. See if you like it. You know, try it out. It's a game of patience. You know, it's a case of it will take you a long time to get into the game, but from my personal opinion, you will not regret it. Simple as that. Like, you'll have a lot of fun playing this game. The community behind the game is very nice. They're very friendly. And I think generally as well, MMO players, even in games like World of Warcraft, have matured. I don't want to say completely, because there is always a bad element to anything online, but you will always find help in a game like Final Fantasy XIV. You'll have a great time and so on. And the good thing is as well, you are not required, you don't have to be Mr. Social. Like I personally, in my real life, I'm very socially awkward. So if you want to just stay inside your own head and play this game on your own, you can do that. If you want to interact with other players, it's easy to meet them. So you can just say hello, introduce yourself, maybe join a guild or a free company, or join a link shell. Try and talk to people as you go. There is a plethora of also dungeons in the game, because obviously now we've had 3 expansions, and you can see that the dungeons are even split by the different expansions. So you can see here, let me just scale this up. You can see that these dungeons are from A Realm Reborn, which was 2.0. The Heavensward 50 to 60 from the first expansion, Stormblood dungeons 61 to 70, and then the Shadowbringers dungeons is its own tab, which is the more recent stuff. Now, the last thing I will say about this game is that graphically, quality, everything-y, you will not see a more superior MMO at the moment. So simply, it has the best graphics of any MMO, it has the best music of any MMO out at the moment. Gameplay, you could argue. You could easily argue that some games have got better combat, better whatever. But if you're looking for a relaxing experience in a great MMO, then Final Fantasy XIV is for you. Also as well, guys, it's never too late. Like, just because this game has been out like 6 years, don't feel that it's too late to get into the game. It's never too late. But like I said, the caution I would say is that go into these games with caution, because of the fact of how huge they are, how many hours they will take. Like, I personally have been playing this game. Let me check my playtime. Just on this character, 301 days on this one character. That's a lot. So it's like, that's nearly an entire year sat playing this character. Now, if you have any questions about the game, please let me know in those comments down below. I'm always here to welcome and help new players. As I said, I also have 1,400 plus videos about this game covering most topics. And there are plenty of other content creators who have supported this game for a very long time as well. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about this game for now. So, anyway, guys, if you like that video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. You can watch a random video over there, you can watch the latest upload down there, or you can click down here to subscribe. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.